Now we're gonna start. Now we're gonna start over again. So, hi everybody. Joe Maldonado and Mindy Burford from Alaska are here today, and we are here to talk about Samhain and practices and all kinds of rituals and things. But we're not may not cover everything because Mindy is teaching a class on how to cover all of that. So what we are going to do is just do a little chat and an interview like we always do. We're going to pretty much follow the protocol, and while I'm letting people in, and those of you that are just joining us, if you could please turn your mic off and your video camera off also, because this is being recorded, unless you want to be recorded with us. So on that note, let's say, hey Mindy, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Good morning. It is just after 9 a.m. this morning here in Alaska.
All right. And so tell me about the the sunlight nightlight situation with you are, because when we were talking, I thought that was like an open window sunlight. So tell us about like the light first, because I'm really always curious about that, and how you're
So
living and all that stuff.
right now, we are just starting to lighten up. Um, this morning, when we first started talking, it was pretty dark out, and it's just now starting to lighten up. I can see the things in the yard. Uh, and then we start to get dark around 5:36 right now. And later in the winter, January, February or time, we have about 4 hours of daylight. So we get our daylight about 11:30, and it's over about 3:30.
Wow. Okay. So, and how long does that last? That 11:30 to 3:30 daylight.
And this starts lightening up. We start really noticing the lightening up around April.
Okay. Okay.
And then by May, we have about 6 hours of darkness. By June, we are light 24/7.
I think that's pretty amazing. I find it amazing anyway, because I mentioned to Mindy, is that your window, why is it so bright over there? She goes, oh, no, no, that's my plant life over there. So plant light's helping the plants because they don't have that much light over there. Um, I'd like to talk to you. I wanted to ask first, why did you choose to move to Alaska and live in Alaska?
I actually lived here as a child. We were stationed remote radio tower up on Catalina here,
Uh-huh.
and it has always been my home. I've always considered this home. I always wanted to come back. My husband and I both hunt, and he's always been excited about, hunting big game in Alaska and living the life out here. So as a teacher, which was my third, fourth career,
Mhm.
um, I had the opportunity to come here. And so we moved here permanently the end of 2014. And my first station was a remote village that was actually on a slough, so literally was waterlocked. And then 6 months later, I got the position here in McGrath, and this is our permanent home.
Nice, nice.
We actually bought our house sight unseen over the phone.
And how many people live in your village, would you say?
Yes, we
Yeah.
call it a village. All of our remote areas are called villages, with the exception of Bethel and Nome. And our village has just at 302 people.
Okay, okay. And so the next question I'm going to segue to that is, um, you're a village elder. So can you just describe what that is?
So when you live in a village, Native Alaskan village in Alaska, your village tribal council sets an age for elders. And here our elder age is 55.
Okay. So we all know you're over 55 now. Oh, I was just wondering, how do you get to be an elder? So what does an elder in your village do? do you have responsibilities or people go to you or?
When you pass elder status, you have a little bit more respect.
Mhm.
You qualify for some discounts and some
I was
better
gonna say
better
discounts. Well, I know you don't have a Walmart, you know.
things. And you for me, I'm well respected with a lot of folks here because I help them. I
Gotcha.
help them with
Yeah.
paperwork, I help them with health issues, tinctures.
Mhm.
Um, I do some cleansings for them,
Mhm. Mhm.
different things. So I have a lot of respect that way. And I am half native. So I'm just half Blackfoot. And so I get, I would say, a little bit more respect than a lot of the other white people here
Because you have
um,
Blackfoot origins.
because I have a lot of native in me, and my husband does too. So, and we made our home permanently here from day one, which also has a lot of respect here instead of a temporary person.
Mm.
It's you get a lot of support and encouragement, and village life is just, it's unlike anywhere else. It
Mhm.
really is.
So now, with that all being said, you are our bush witch. So, so how does your practice fit into your lifestyle? Is this something that is accepted in your village of who you are and what you are, and how you practice, or is that something you kind of keep to yourself, or or is everybody like that, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I've always been protective over my beliefs and my practices, just because I've lived in the lower 48 and several foreign countries, and this is something that you just don't advertise per se. But
Mm-hmm.
I have learned over the years of being here that there are more people that believe this way than that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a deep spiritual belief and a lot of disconnect with our Native Alaskans here because of the boarding schools and pushed into villages, just like in the lower 48. They were pushed into reservations and boarding schools. Well, the same sort of thing happened up here. We don't have reservations, but what we did have was children were just absconded and put into boarding schools, and those were nightmarish.
Mm-hmm.
um and then of course the Russians had Alaska before we did,
Mm-hmm.
and Alaska, a lot of Alaska's founded on greed and mining. So, gold mining and that sort of thing. So you have a lot of that. And there's a love of the white people that come into native villages, and there's a hatred. So you have to be really careful between the two. But a lot of Native Alaskans, I'm in an Athabascan village. So, and I love Athabascan is a lot closer to my native beliefs
Mm-hmm.
than some of the other villages. But and Athabascans are deeper into um, trying to go back to their traditional beliefs.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a little more tradition there. A little, you see more of it, you feel more of it. Um, and then there's just the living here, and we are 300 plus miles from Anchorage
Mm-hmm.
by plane.
By
You cannot
plane.
drive here.
Right.
You have to take a Busch plane. And we are 22 miles from the nearest village, which only has 60 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
We are the hub village, meaning we have most of the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are 52 miles from another village that has nearly 500 people,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a lot less infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are, and I will show you in my class a map of where we are. We are literally on a thumb. This is where our village is, and the rest is river. And our river is about the size of 12 lane freeway.
Wow. Okay.
Huge.
Yeah.
And we are the second largest river. We're on the Kuskokwim. We're the second largest river in Alaska.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and water has a tremendous, that river has a tremendous amount of power here. If we have ice jams in the spring, we flood. It brings our fish. It brings, our wildlife. Our wildlife crosses during the winter on it. Our people cross during the winter on it. And there's a lot of lore around our rivers here and a lot of things that eat people. So it's very dangerous and has to be very, very respected. So you get more vibration, more energy from the earth here than you would in other places, simply because it just hasn't been as destroyed.
I was going to say, as touched by man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only thing paved here is our runway. We're a hub village and we have a massive runway. Everything else is dirt roads, and we have 14 miles of dirt road here. One of the roads goes, I think it's over 10 miles to our gravel pit, which is a big giant chunk of rock sitting out there. Other than that, our ground is sand.
Wow. Wow. So all that being said, now we have a really good, or a much better picture of where you live. Talking about Samhain, can you talk about the thinning of the veil? Because I mentioned this to you before we went on. I've gotten a few requests and questions. People seem to be experiencing more spiritual activity where they are, whether it's things falling on top of them, or things being moved in the home, or just things coming out of nowhere. I mean, I'm in my glory because, hey, no one comes in here unless I ask them to. So you guys, I called you, come on in, let's have a little chat or a party. But tell us about the thinning of the veil and how you approach it, and how do you respect it, and how do you embrace that?
Well, I put up a boundary around my property so that we don't have the influx of spiritual activity that was coming through. It's where our house sits. It used to be like a hunting trail for the Native Alaskans. And so we had just passers through, stop, watch TV. You could smell smoke off of them. You could, you could see the shadows. Our animals would go, "What was that?" So I put up a boundary, and since we've put up that boundary, we're not getting that kind of traffic here. But I have had multiple requests for cleansings in people's homes lately, and I'm like, okay, well, that has to do with the season, not just. And even though Samhain is our spiritual time and our nexus for this that we observe, other belief systems have another time. If you go back into the Native Alaskan traditional beliefs, they have a time now where they see their spirits too. They've harvested and dried their fish. They've harvested and dried their meat. They're sitting still, and all of a sudden their ancestors are coming at them. And they're seeing things that they wouldn't normally see. So the thinning of the veil is definitely happening here.
Yeah. I would say it's happening everywhere, pretty much, wouldn't you?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. It's, but I say we're noticing it here, and I'm noticing it from other people. So it's and it's wonderful. It's not a scary thing.
No, not at all. So you had some stories that you wanted to share, that of the thinning of the veil, and we are going to talk about during Mindy's class. She's going to go specifically over rituals, traditions, how you can make, and stop me if I'm wrong, Mindy, or if you want to elaborate, how you can make this special, holy time actually yours, right? Because not everybody lives in
Yeah.
Alaska. So the way you're practicing and the way you're honoring and celebrating is not going to be the same way me in Florida is going to do it. I'm going to do it a little bit different. And I think you also have been a practicing witch pretty much all your life, from like babyhood almost, correct?
Yes.
So that makes a difference. I'm just a newbie of about 30, 40 some years on this thing. So, I haven't been doing as long as you have, or maybe because I'm so old. Maybe I have, I don't know. But I do believe that that also has a good bit of it. So, can you just talk about some of the things that you do and the stories that you wanted to share with everybody?
So I want to tell a couple of stories of Alaskan lore, since it is the season during my class. But I thought I'd share an experience that we had I had with my dogs about 6 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So it was, we have a new puppy. He's just turning 6 months old this coming weekend. And so about 6 weeks ago, we had, and this is where, we talk about the thinning of the veil, but I think it was starting to thin, even 2 months ago, it was coming to us. And I have put up boundaries on my property. So I said, I don't get that much traffic, but what I have been getting is a little bit different. We have a lot of lore, a lot of magical beings in Alaska, a
Mhm.
lot that are very integrated and related to the earth here.
Mhm.
And we have, so you have little people. There are two kinds. There are the little people that are about 6 to 12 inches tall, and there are the little people that are about 3 feet tall. And well, so I'm going to switch stories because I'm talking about little people. So I was working in Nome, Alaska, and I had to drive the teachers to teacher camp, culture camp, which was 60 miles away in White Mountain. And on the way, I'm driving the school van. On the way, we're on this dirt road for 60 miles that goes through hills and valleys and then up a mountain. And before we went up the mountain, I looked to the side, and fences out here are extremely rare. You don't see fences. People don't fence things off. People don't have cattle. You just don't see that here. So on the left-hand side of the road is a fence, and it's got all these do not pass, no trespassing, danger, do not enter, all this stuff written across it. And it's just kind of a compilation of wire and wood and pallets and everything blocking this one area. But the funny thing is that the fence is only about 100 feet long, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's just that one strip of fence blocking that one area. So of course I look beyond that area and I look up the mountain, and up the mountain, hills. Think of steep hills,
Mhm.
steep, grassy, beautiful hills. And on the top is this rock outcropping. And in the rock outcropping is a hole. And the hole is probably 3-4 feet in diameter, maybe better, because it was up on top of the hill and I was on the road. It was rainy, sopped in as far as you could see, horizon to horizon. But there was sunlight in the hole. I could see, that's what drew me to it, is I could see sunlight in the hole. So I stopped the van, and sitting behind me is one of the elders. She was riding along with the teachers to go to culture camp. And when I stopped the van, she said, "You shouldn't stop here." And I turned and I looked at her and I said, "What's that?" Here's the fence. Here's all the warning. Up on the hill, there's a hole. What is it? And she tells me, she says, "Don't ever go there."
Oh.
And she said, "It's dangerous. That's why the fence is there. Don't ever go there."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Of course, why?"
Yeah, right. Curious witch
Tell
that
me
you
the
are.
story. So we sat there and she told us, a whole van full of teachers and me driving,
Mm.
the story. And the story is that is where the little people live.
Okay, so we
And
have
the
a
little
question here. So somebody says little people, not fairies. They're not fairies. What's the difference?
big difference. Little people are completely different from fairies.
What is the difference?
Little people are little people. They have magical abilities. They can choose to be seen or unseen.
Okay.
The smaller ones are more on the friendly side.
Okay.
We have those living behind our house. And I'll talk more about that in my class.
Okay.
The larger ones that are about 3 feet tall, they are more on the ornery side.
Okay.
And you want to be very, very careful with them, not to
So
get on their bad side.
so is this something because of the thinning of the veil that's happening, that everything is kind of like getting all riled up and coming to life, or is this just like an everyday occurrence for you?
This is pretty normal around here, but I definitely get more of it around this time of year.
Okay, okay. So
So
with the thinning of the veil, and I know you're going to talk about rituals and how me in Florida can actually celebrate and do my own thing. I know you're going to talk about that in class, but I'm just wondering, well, I mean, is this these little people, not the bigger people of the little people, but the little people, do they interfere in your practices, or do they help, or are they like a nature go-to little person? Sorry.
they have, I won't, they definitely don't interfere in my practices.
Okay.
I would say sometimes they help. We leave gifts for them.
Hmm.
We have, from the beginning of when we got this house and we realized that they were back there, we have left gifts for them.
Hmm.
And they have left gifts for us.
Hmm.
And there are times when we feel that they definitely have reached out and protected us. We had a nice jam a year ago spring, and our village started to flood. And heavy flooding was on the other side of the road, and then it finally made its way across the road to us.
Hmm.
And our yard filled up with over 2 feet of water.
Hmm.
The jam broke, and like that, the water was gone from our
Wow.
yard.
Wow.
It was still sitting on the other side. There were still places that were horribly damaged and really got a lot of damage from it, but we didn't.
So we're getting a
We
couple
should have,
questions on
but
these.
we didn't.
We're getting little people questions here. Do little people repel fairies or attract them, or no association whatsoever?
I think that they actually kind of work and live with them.
Okay. Okay.
I don't see where there's any aggravation between the two. We don't see where there's aggravation between the bigger little people and the littler little people. What we do notice is that they live in different areas of Alaska.
Okay. Okay.
So the larger little people are out towards Nome area, out towards the more west than we are.
Hmm.
We're west, but we're not that far.
Right. Someone else.
And the small ones, they used to live side by side with humans.
Oh, okay.
There are
There's a
native
question
stories.
here. The little people mean they are not Homo sapiens?
They're just little people.
They're like miniature people.
Okay. Okay. And then next
They're
question,
they're husky built, smaller people.
like dwarf-like people?
Yes, but they're magical. They can choose to be seen or not seen.
Okay.
The smaller ones are known to be shapeshifters.
Mm-hmm.
The larger ones are the ones that, and you can look this up, you can Google it,
Mm-hmm.
have been seen running across areas carrying a caribou sideways.
Mm. Oh, wow. Wow.
They're very, very strong.
Wow.
There's some aversion between all of them and dogs, but our dogs
Mhm.
have made friends with them. Of course, we have AAs, and even my shepherd before this, none of them they didn't have a big prey drive, and so as long as they didn't have a big prey drive, they're
Mhm.
American Alsatians, Julie.
It's a breed. She and I both share the same breed. There is another question. Do you gift them something specific, like shiny things for some magical creatures? And are they able to do glamour things? I don't know about glamour things. I don't know what she means by
uh,
that, but
we have seen them shapeshift into animals.
okay.
We've noticed that we've had visits from animals that they weren't acting like their animal counterpart. They were behaving in strange ways,
Okay.
like coming in, talking to the dogs, and then leaving, but leaving in a way that just like da 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 da, instead of a straight shot away from them. We've left gifts, and we've had gifts left for us. When we
Nice.
first moved here, we left gifts out for them, and we found a tiny basket of berries inside the crook of our door.
Oh, how cool. Oh, I just got goosebumps on that. That is so
So we have, you said we have personally experienced them, and I absolutely adore them. And I talk to them every time I'm out there. And when we see them moving about, it's shimmers. And these are the little people.
yeah,
Okay. These are
yeah,
not,
yeah.
I saw film, I don't have it, but I saw film when we were living in Nome of one of the larger ones carrying a caribou sideways across the runway.
Oh, wow. That is
So
very
we
cool.
know they're there.
So our topics have gone from um,
Sorry.
from rituals to little people, which is really fascinating. But our time is up. So what we normally do is when we have these great interviews, we do want to remind you, everybody that is actually on the call today does get a coupon, and you can apply that to Mindy's class, which is upcoming, and it's in the evening. It's 6 o'clock our time, and I believe, what do you remember the date on that? Is it the 26th, I think?
26th.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the 26th.
26th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will send everybody out a coupon today. Um,
Yes,
Also, we
26th.
have other fantastic, really witchy interviews. I think they're all sold out, which is unfortunate because Eventbrite kind of cuts it off at 24. And not all 24 people show up, so actually more people could have come today. But you are all on the list as long as you register, and you are all most welcome to come to. We have the Clearing Witch, which will be, she'll be talking about clearing objects and things and places, most importantly, of spirits that are really not that friendly, and that you don't want there. And also the Forest Witch Altera, who is, her class is this Saturday, and she is a very solitary remote witch, who forages and grows her own everything and makes everything in their life to make them more healthy. So I'm going to pause this or stop recording. For those that are watching the recording, thank you for coming. Those that are live, thank you for coming, and hang on, because we are live. We're going to ask and talk to Mindy a little bit off the recording. Mindy, officially thanking you very much today.
Thank you very much. I
And
look
I'm going
forward to giving my class, and I promise not to get carried off with stories like today. Okay, but I
to
do see that we have some interesting questions coming up after we stop the recording.
Okay, so thank you, everybody, and